He laughed, actually laughed in the courtroom. "Call whoever you want," the judge said, not knowing that one call would end everything. The courtroom smelled faintly of old paper and polished wood, that dry, dusty scent that clings to places where decisions change lives. A grandfather clock ticked slowly in the corner, each second stretching longer than it should. Marcus Hale stood at the defendant's table, hands steady, too steady for a man facing 10 years behind bars. His suit was worn but clean, his eyes calm, almost unsettlingly so. Across from him, Judge Edwin Carter leaned back in his chair with a subtle smirk. "Well, Mr. Hale," he said, tapping his pen, "you've made quite a claim. Fraud, conspiracy, bribery, all pointed at people with far more power than you." A few quiet chuckles followed. "And you expect this court to believe you?" Marcus exhaled slowly. "I don't expect belief, Your Honor. I expect the truth to speak for itself." The judge raised an eyebrow, amused. "Then by all means, call whoever you want." And then, believe it or not, Marcus nodded, as if he'd been waiting for those exact words. Actually, the tension shifted in a way no one quite noticed at first. The air felt heavier, like a storm quietly rolling in. Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out an old phone. Scratched, outdated, nothing impressive. He dialed a number without hesitation. The room stayed silent, except for the faint ringing. 1, 2, 3 times. Judge Carter leaned forward, clearly entertained. This should be good. Then Marcus spoke into the phone, his voice low but firm. "Yes, it's time." He ended the call. That was it. No explanation, no dramatic speech, just those 3 words. "Well," the judge scoffed, "is someone going to burst through those doors?" And then, as it turns out, someone did. The heavy wooden doors creaked open, not violently, but with a quiet authority that silenced every whisper. 2 officers stepped in first, federal. Behind them walked a man in a dark overcoat, his presence commanding without a single raised voice. A ripple moved through the courtroom. Paper shuffled. Someone dropped a pen. Judge Carter's smirk faded, slowly. "Excuse me," the man said calmly. "We'll need to pause these proceedings." The judge frowned. "And you are?" The man stepped closer, placing a badge on the bench. "Internal Affairs, Special Division." Silence, the kind that presses against your chest. And then, believe it or not, the man turned toward the judge. "Judge Edwin Carter, you'll need to step down immediately." A murmur exploded. He slid a folder forward. The soft scrape of paper against wood sounded louder than it should. The judge opened it, and his expression began to change. "Well," the officer added quietly, "as it turns out, Mr. Hale wasn't bluffing." Actually, this is where everything began to unravel. Inside that folder were years of records, hidden transactions, offshore accounts, powerful names all tied together. And right at the center of it all sat Judge Edwin Carter. The room grew colder. Marcus finally spoke again. "I told you the truth would speak." The judge looked up, his voice barely steady. "You set me up." Marcus shook his head. "No, you built this yourself. I just turned on the lights." And then, believe it or not, it didn't end with shouting or chaos. Judge Carter was escorted out quietly, not resisting, just walking, like a man already replaying every choice he'd ever made. But the truth wasn't clean. Marcus wasn't innocent either. He had once been part of the same system, a small piece in a much larger machine. When he tried to walk away, they tried to bury him instead. So he did the only thing he could. He burned it all down. Careers ended. Reputations collapsed. Even innocent lives were caught in the storm. Justice was served, but it didn't feel entirely pure. The courtroom emptied slowly, the ticking clock returning, stay and indifferent. Marcus stood alone for a moment, running his fingers along the wooden table. Winning, well, as it turns out, doesn't always feel like victory. Sometimes, it just feels like survival. So tell me, When justice destroys everything in its path, is it still justice? Or is it just revenge, wearing a better suit?